Hello everyone, good morning. We are live and alive on today. Oh, it's a Monday, isn't it? Monday, the 24th of March. Is it March? Yeah, it feels like March. Marvellous. Clocks still haven't gone back in the UK yet. That joy is for next week. You just came in and said hello and now you leave. Why you do this to me? Good morning everyone, yeah. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you all had a lovely weekend. All the good stuff. We're back for another week. So what are we doing today? Because we're in the... I just had... Meow. So because we're in the UK, Monday's spoilers haven't really started yet. There's been literally like 2 cards spoiled, so that is not going to fill an hour of exciting content. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to a project we were working on a couple of days ago. Meow! I know you're excited to go back to. We're going to continue building our multiplayer cube. This is something we started about a week ago. I think this is episode 4. Should be from the title anyway. If we've miscounted, I do apologise. We're going to be doing... we're going to pick up from where we left off. So let's do a quick overview for those watching for the first time. This is the cat. She's very meow. What are you doing? Come back if you want to come back. Meow. You've been fed. You've been watered. Meow. Meow. I think she just wants to say good morning. Everything's fine. Right. Come on then. There we go. Don't worry, darling. Your audience is waiting. Alright. So where are we? So we are building a multiplayer cube. It's going to be a 540 size and it's an unpowered vintage cube in terms of power level. How it's going to work is there's going to be 40 card decks, 20 live formats aimed at 8 players drafting. It's going to be the first round of games will be 2 multiplayer pods of 4. The top 2 from each pod will play each other in the final round, and the bottom 2 will play each other in a non-winners bracket. So you end up playing 2 multiplayer games, 40 card decks, 40 card decks, 20 starting life. But if you've played Conspiracy, it's similar to that. We're not copying like the Commander cubes or anything like that, just because I personally found that Commander cubes tend to take a little bit longer than I would generally like. That's the main reason we're doing it this way, just because I want this to last the same amount of time as a regular cube. A regular cube generally lasts somewhere around 4 to 5 hours. This should last that long. So the draft will be about an hour. Draft and deck building about an hour. Then the games will be about an hour, hour and a half, that kind of thing. That's pretty spot on. I personally found that multiplayer cubes tend to go a bit longer. And personally with multiplayer cubes, I generally find, like especially with commander cubes where you have to draft your commander, that it really skews packs and decks based on what you open in the first couple of packs. Like if you just see a 3-color commander early and commit to it, then you just are going to have a much better deck. Whereas with regular drafting, there's room to pivot, there's room to find your lane, that kind of stuff. You don't just have to commit early to end up with something more powerful than anyone else. So that's one. Yeah, that's the reasons we're building it this way. And let's do an overview of our archetypes, because we're going to be... Whenever we put any card into our cube, we need to be aware of these, so let's just refresh ourselves. So Azorius is going to be casting spells from exile, so being rewarded for casting spells from exile, and with cards like Vega, so this will be things like, just flashback cards from exile, but like things like... literally just closed the one link I needed. Oh, that's a great start to the morning. 2 seconds. We'll get that back. So Azorius is casting things from exile. The goal is to be rewarded for when we cast things from places other than our hand. So we have the mechanics from... we have things like Foretell and a bunch of other things that reward us when we're casting spells from not from our hand. Blue-black is a group mill / reanimated deck. 40 card decks aren't that massive, so having a bit of group mill means that game will end. Will mean that games have to end. And then Reanimator is a nice little... I like Reanimator. I think it's a cool strategy. It can scale nicely to any power level of cube. But it doesn't have to be this all-in, all-seeing archetype. Just having it in there as the finisher for the group mill deck, I think is going to be nice. Black red is going to be madness. It'll overlap nicely with some of the discard and the milling, not with the milling, but with discard and stuff going into graveyard that we get from Dimir, and when we get to Golgari, you'll see it there as well. Madness is cards that want to be discarded, basically. Gruul is an impulse aggro kind of deck, so with the Feldhorn Dread Wolf Herald is like the signpost card here. Basically, the goal of this is cards that reward us when, like, there's this red, it's a primarily red mechanic, but like there's effects that reward you when you, or there are effects that like the impulse part of it is rather than the card going to your hand, the card goes into like exile and then you cast it from exile. So there is a bit of overlap with the cards from exile deck. That's one of the reasons why we've gone Gruul, and also Gruul being an aggro deck just kind of works. Things like Inti, things like Lalia go in this deck quite well. I do want there to be an aggro deck in this format. Selesnya is Watch Walls because Selesnya sucks. Finding archetypes for Selesnya is very difficult, and effectively the goal of this is to play 2 mana 3/3s or 3 mana 4/4s. Play some beef, turn it sideways. White-black is control, because I do think you need a control deck in most cubes. You need something to kind of keep the board in check. Even though I'm looking for swift, speedy games of Magic, or just good, interesting games of Magic, I think having a control deck is solid, and you need the bits to just keep other decks in check. We made this change last time. Is it Blitz? Again, we are trying to be a bit more combat matters with this cube. I haven't mentioned that already, but we're trying to be a bit more do things with combat, like rather than just running straight Doomblade, we're going to run things that care about combat a bit more, just to make. I want people to be attacking with this. I want combat to matter because I think it makes more interesting games, and it avoids board stalls, which can happen in multiplayer format. So by incentivizing people to attack, Is It Blitz is quite aggressive actually. Effectively, if you've never played it before, it's effectively play a creature that rewards you, that kind of a prowess creature, for example, or a super prowess creature. Play some spells, turn it sideways. Kill a player. Fantastic. Golgari, we're going +1/+1 counters. This will probably overlap a little bit into some other decks, but I think it's a cool deck. And there's some very cool pieces in Golgari that like normally +1 counters is a more Selesnya archetype, but by moving it into Golgari, we do some cool things like with Skullbriar, the Walking Grave. Boris is Feather Combat Tricks, so this is like the Feather deck that was in Standard a couple of years ago. Effectively, what you're doing is you are casting what would normally be one-time use combat tricks, and you're getting value from them again with cards like Feather, with cards like Dreadhorde Arcanist, that kind of stuff. Miracle Grow is our Simic archetype, and this is another archetype that rewards us for casting instant or sorceries, or sort of. It's more of an archetype that rewards you for just playing Magic. So the goal is you play like a 2-mana 2/2, and then whenever you do anything, when you just play Magic, it will naturally get bigger. So there's a bunch of these. There's ones that do it just when you cast multicolored spells. There's ones that when you play lands, they get bigger. All this kind of stuff. Ooh, Cubby Wubby we can run. But these kind of things are just really good at kind of just getting bigger over the course of the game. If you've ever seen, what do you call it? It's like Sorensen Tempo in Canadian Highlander is another way of referring to it. So we've done our archetypes, and the next thing we need to do. So we've got our signpost cards for all of our archetypes. Obviously, the link to this will be down in the description below. We've got our lands. We're going through our staples right now. So there's things that just every cube needs, like white needs removal, green needs ramp. So that's what we're going to be doing today, is trying to finish off all of our staples so that the next time we do one of these, we can really nail down like more archetype specific cards. Basically, we're doing this now because these are the bits a cube needs to function. Like a 540 cube needs cards like Palace Jailer, Condemn, Show, Destroy Evil. It needs interaction to make a generic white deck work. We can't just start adding cards for our Azorius deck and our Selesnya deck straight away, because if we don't have these in, just the deck just naturally won't work. Same with like green and like ramp decks, that kind of stuff. You can't have your generic green decks if you don't have things like Llanowar Elves, that kind of stuff, just naturally in the cube. So that's the plan for today. We are trying to get these bits in so that the cube is at a base level so that we can build from it in future episodes. How we're going to be doing this today is I'm going to be taking the numbers from my regular cube. Links to all these are down in the description below. So this is my regular cube, my sweet unpowered cube. The power level is roughly similar to what I want this to be, but we're going to be taking like numbers from this. And then this here is Ryan Sachs's combat cube. This is a cube that's all about combat. It's in this cube you only get rewarded for combat. So like your card draw is like Ophidians, that kind of stuff. You only get like that's where your card advantage comes from. But we're going to be taking ideas from the removal sections in here, because it's a similar kind of ethos in terms of the combat mattering, that kind of stuff. Because you can see there's like there's things like Fatal Push, but there's not necessarily just like Doom Blades in here. There's like Smothers and Snuff Outs, that kind of stuff. But like Snuff Out is a fantastic card, but there is a real cost in a multiplayer game. Like you have to be in black, obviously, but or like you can't splash it off of a talisman if you want to cast it for free, that kind of stuff. But for life is a real cost in a multiplayer game. Like you're opening yourself up a bit more. So that's what we're doing today. So let's first of all, so we have our white removal. Let's look at probably blue cantrips and blue card draw. Cantrips are card draw, and blue counter magic. So if you haven't seen this before, this is my budget base. It's a great resource for building a cube, just because I've kind of gone through it, and the yellows are cards that could go into any 360 cube. The oranges are cards that could go. The oranges are cards that could go into any 540 cube, and the reds are cards that could go into any 720 cube, and they're all relatively budget. And also, if you buy them, they're unlikely to get power crept out super quickly. So, we do need to think about how. So, the first thing we're going to add today is our blue counter magic. So let's just go through mine and see how much counter magic we roughly have. So, counterspell, daze, loose focus, mana leak, miscalc, remand, force of negation, cryptic, force of will, mystic. So that's 9. That seems quite a lot. That seems more than I think I want in this. I think I do want this to be more. So one thing with this is you do need to kind of adjust your counter magic to fit the cube. Like in theory, in this, games are going to be going a little bit longer. You do need to work out if mana leak is too strong. If things like free counters are too strong. I think with this we do want it to be. We're probably going to be a bit more commandery with our counter magic. So I'm thinking more things like Arcane Denial, for example. Counter target spell, its controller may draw up to 2 cards at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. You draw a card. Like, this is a hard counter, so it does the job when you need to hard counter something. Like, there's probably going to be an overrun or an overrun effect in this cube somewhere. The blue player looking to control the game a little bit. An Arcane Denial will do the thing that it needs to do, but it doesn't ruin people on card advantage. So I think we add Arcane Denial as our first bit. Let's have a look at our budget base. Let's see what we have. I don't want days, because I think that's just too much. It's one-on-one. Dazing someone's spell is obviously really good, but in multiplayer, like these, when games are going longer, things where people have to pay just naturally aren't as good, because if games are going longer, on average, when you see this card, it's going to be later in the game. Is my thinking. So I don't hate Memory Lapse. It's a hard counter, but it puts it back a turn. I'm thinking like these kind of counter spells might be pretty good in this kind of thing, because they stop you that turn. They will trigger things in like your Is It Blitz deck as well. I think that's pretty so I think Remand as well is probably getting in. Because there is also the question of how expensive do we want our hard counters to be. That's also something we need to consider with this. I don't hate Supreme Will does give you that bit of flexibility as well. So another cube I've built recently that I might just have a quick look at is the Treat Yourself cube. Good news, everyone. The Treat Yourself cube has been selected for Cube Clash London. So if you're coming to that, you can play it, potentially, which is nice and cool. Right, yeah, we have some suggestions in chat. Let's have a quick look. So, yeah, an offer you can't refuse. I do like this card. This is more the type of cards that the counter magic I run in Commander in general, just because generally in Commander I'm only trying to counter like the board wipes and that kind of stuff. I can see us running this 3 steps ahead. Let's have a look. Oh, this is a good shout. Yes, I like 3 steps ahead. The modal ability of it's 3 mana for a hard counter, or it has other abilities that all the decks are going to want. Like draw 2 cards, discard a card, goes in the mill reanimator deck. Create a token. That's a copy of an artifact or creature you control. That's going to be quite good in the Blitz deck actually. So yeah, I like 3 steps ahead. And I also like the fact that the counter is 3 mana. I think that's like a good... I don't want them to be too efficient. Counter target creature spell if the gift was promise instead counter. Okay. Yeah, I think Long River's Pool, like, it's a nice little drawback. It's not too good. It's a nice level. So, in the Treat Yourself cube, all the counter magic, like, you can notice, like, there's nothing down here in, like, 1s and 2s. It's things like Dismiss, or Scattering Stroke, or Forceful Denial, that kind of thing. We have Familiar's Ruse in the chat. Good morning, Roberto. Thank you very much. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Familiar's Ruse, maybe. I don't think we have anything that synergizes super with that. I think I like Along River's Pool. I think let's do... I'm feeling Dismiss. I think people are fine dismissing something because they get a card back. I think we might leave it there for the time being. I think that's a decent counter suite for the time being. Like, the hard counters are generally over 3 mana, apart from Long River's Pool, but you have to let them draw a card. I think I like that if you want a hard counter or anything. I think that's pretty solid place to begin. Let's do cantrips. All the decks that we went over. So let's load this up. So all of our all of our blue decks want to put things like want cheap cantrips. So our Miracle Grow deck, our Group Mill deck, our Blitz deck, everything going into blue wants cheap effects that let us draw cards. So let's have a quick look. So we have ops. So one thing with this is I'm not super tied to budget because we are going to be just proxying this whole thing. Because proxying is nice and cheap. Ooh. So let's have a look at our cantrips. Let's just... how are we doing this? I think we're advanced searching. We're blue. We are draw a card. And we're sorting by mana value. These need to be cheap. We want these to be nice and cheap. So yes, we are proxying, but we're not ancestraling. I don't think we want pure power in this. Birthday Escape? Ooh, I think I like Birthday Escape. Yes, I know it's 1 mana, draw a card, the ring tempts you, but the ring tempts you is pretty good. The ring bearer is legendary and can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. So I like that ability that's actually really good on a Blitz creature. Because the way that, like... meow, I know, right? I know, it's going to be great on a Blitz creature. So take a card like Kiln Fiend. If you give Kiln Fiend... If Kiln Fiend's your ring bearer, you can get through they goes to blocks. They're not able to block because it's a Kiln Fiend with only 1 power. Then you cast all your instant and sorceries and you can kill someone out of nowhere. That's pretty good. So you will have to cast Birthday Escape before combat because it's a sorcery, but I think that's pretty good. I am here for Birthday Escape. We've got Leap in the chat. I do love Leap. Target reach against flying into land of turn, draw a card. Again, that's going to be great in this. And it's not just the Blitz deck. Like the green... blue deck is going to be liking this as well. Even, you know, just jumping your big win con that you've reanimated is pretty solid as well. Hello, darling. You come. No. No. Meow. I'm just trying to pick you up. Hello. Come on, darling. End of world. You're getting a cuddle. I know, it's dreadful. I'm so sorry, darling. I'm so sorry. Actually, we should count how many cantrips do we want. One... This might not be the right cue for looking at cantrips. I think we want a decent amount here. I think we probably want 6 or 7, I think. A lot of decks want them. So I think I'm going to go for 6 or 7 of these. Breakthrough, now that is a magic card. Draw 4 cards, then choose X cards in your hand, discard the rest. I love Breakthrough. This 100% gets in. Yes, I know it's not really 1 mana, but Breakthrough slaps. Careful Study might not be a bad shout. Like, if we are doing any kind of reanimator stuff, Careful Study is great. These aren't a lot of sorceries is the only thing. Alright, so Consider, I think, is exactly what we need. Consider is Surveil 1, draw a card. For the self-mill deck, just putting stuff into the graveyard. Or for the mill deck, but Consider is great. We'll probably do the other one as well when we get to it. Curious Obsession is an interesting one. Single blue, enchant creature. Enchant creature gets +1/+1, as whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. Curious Obsession is going to be really good. We're not doing like a Flying Men deck is the only thing. So this getting through is nowhere near guaranteed, so I do think you're going to be sacking this relatively often. So maybe we can't do Curious Obsession, but we can run some other things that reward us for dealing combat damage. Enclave Cryptologist, I do like this card. This is a card you saw in like most high power level cubes up until like up until about 2020 probably. Should it have been cut beforehand? Maybe, who knows. But solid card. Git Probe is fine. I think we want to focus a bit more on instants now. Mental Note, there we go. Put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard, draw a card. Mental Note. Boo, BCE. Boo with your joke. We should opt for Consider and not think twice about it. Boo. Yes, we do need to come up with put in ones that work with some of our other decks. So the ones with Flashback will work really well with this cast from Exile. Azorius deck, so we do need to keep an eye out for those. So Obsessive Search with Madness is quite nice. When you're discarding cards, like with a Merfolk Looter, that we're probably going to be running something like that. Obsessive Search, I think, is pretty good. What are you doing, little lady? The Quickening. Let's keep going. Do we want to straight opt? I don't think so. I'm thinking more Occult Epiphany. Draw X cards and discard X cards. Create X 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying for each card type among cards you discarded this way. I do like Occult Epiphany, but I don't just want to be just adding cards wildly. These are meant to be overlap cards. Bread and butter cards go in every deck. Ray of Erasure is a great one. Target player looks at the top card of his or her library and puts it into his or her graveyard. Draw a card at the next turn end step. It's effectively Consider, sort of. Shadow Rift. Togeki's against Shadow until end of turn. That's a banger of a magic card. But no, I think we need to be good. Let's look for ones that have the ability to get... that come back from the graveyard. So... yeah, I think twice as flashback. Let's actually look for... oh, actually, hold on. So this is an interesting... accumulated knowledge. This is an interesting point. So we are running conspiracies in this cube. Or we're going to run conspiracies in this cube, which do care about multiples. Is there a world where we just run 3 accumulated knowledges? I think that might not be a terrible shout. I think that's something we might come back to when we actually do the... so in a future episode, I do just want to focus purely on conspiracy type of cards. Do a whole episode on it and do a deep dive. So maybe that's when we add things like AK. But I think let's actually search for draw a card with flashback. Actually, I just saw a card that we should add. Charter Course. This is a great magic card. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card unless you attack this turn. This is... probably we're probably going to add this, but let's look at flashback. I think we need draw a card. Flashback. Alright. Oh, this card is getting very heavy. I'm sorry, darling. Alright, deep analysis. Oh, so I didn't mean heavy in like a big way. I love you, darling. So just tiring on the arm. And deep analysis gets in. Yeah, I do think we want to think twice. Scour all possibilities? I don't... The one thing with this is I think we need more instants on these. Just because a lot of the decks... right, maybe I need to cut Breakthrough and stuff like that. The other one is Jumpstart. That's from Graveyard Mechanic. There must be a... draw a card with Jumpstart. There we go. Start the TARDIS is a great magic card. That's another sorcery, but hey-ho. 1 in the blue, surveil 2, then draw a card. You may planeswalk with Jumpstart. You can ignore the planeswalk part. If you don't care about that, it's surveil 2, draw a card, and there's Jumpstart. That's pretty good. Start. Alright, I think that's probably going to do it for blue cantrips. Let's have a look. This is going to be a pretty beefy section, actually. I think that seems good, actually. So this does have our counter magic in it as well. So Dismiss, Remand, Memory Lapse, Arcane Denial. Okay, I think this is a good start. I think I do want probably some... Actually, I'm trying to work out if we need bigger counter magic. I'm thinking things like... like Mystic Confluence, that kind of stuff. Or in my other cube, like what do we have for our big counter spells? We have things like Commit Memory, Sublime Epiphany, and Spell Swindle. I don't think so. I don't think this... Because our blue decks aren't super control-y, I think it's more we need... Yeah, I think this is a good start. Let's move on to our... what's next? So it's Black Interaction next. Okay. So this is going to be trickier to have it not just be efficient and good. We want it to be slightly more combat-based. Again, because we want people to be attacking in this cube. We don't just want people to be holding back and not doing anything. So I think that will probably mean we're going to be looking for a lot of these to be on creatures. That will also go into some of the other decks as well. So stuff like Murderous Rider, I think, is a good place to start. Let's look at black creatures that can kill things. Creature. Destroy. So there are some good ones in here. Let's search this by EDH rank. So, yeah. Ravenous Tupes, I think, is great. Just Gihulk is it's big, I like it. Murderous Rider, I think, is really solid. Murderous Rider. So, we should look at numbers. How many removal spells are in my regular cube? Again, just from a number point of view. So we have Necron Deathmark. 1, Is that all? One. No, really cut down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, sort of. 11, 12, 13. 13. That's okay. That's the number we're going to aim for. I think Shriekmore does get in. A customer order? Let's have a look. Is that the sack one? Okay, I think we're back. Oh, the internet's having a... that's not great. Let's speed test. Love to see it at this time of morning. I know, darling. The internet. Dreadful. Meow. I know, right? Okay, we're back. Marvellous. Alright, we're at a point where the speed test isn't super working, but let's just see how this goes. It looks to be green. Okay. Sorry, everyone. Just want to make sure that this is working. I think we're good. Alright, so let's just repeat ourselves a little bit. Okay, that looks to be working fine now. Marvellous. So, yeah, yeah, we're looking for effects on creatures, I think, basically. I think is where we are. Necron Deathmark is great. Yeah, Necron Deathmark is 5 mana, 5/3 with Flash. When it enters, destroy up to 1 target creature and target player mills 3 cards. That does a lot of things that many things want in this cube. I think Big Game Hunter as well probably gets in. Big Game Hunter, 3 mana, 1/1. If Big Game Hunter enters the battlefield, or when it enters, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater, it can't be regenerated. But the madness cost here is really fun. This effectively, you can do at instant speed if you have a free discard outlet, and that's really solid. Like, people don't see it coming. Yeah, it's very cool. I do like Royal Assassin. The one thing with is that it is a little bit. It might be a bit oppressive. I mean, we do have a control deck, so I don't hate that actually. Just it being repeatable, I think, is pretty cool. Do we go Avatar of Woe though? Is the question. If we're going big with this, I think Avatar of Woe slaps. If there are 10 or more creature cards total in all graveyards, this spell costs 6 generic less to cast. It has Fear, and it's a 6/5 that has tap target creature. It can't. Tap destroy target creature. It can't be regenerated. I think I like Avatar of Woe because it's a reward for that self-mill deck. Like, this can go in other decks, but in the self-mill deck is going to be pretty fun. Alright, I think this is a pretty good base for creatures. We will have some... Ooh, Dalek Drone, I don't hate. Do we just go classic with Necrotrol? Ooh, Tetsamok. That card. Very powerful. Black, reveal it from your hand, put a prey card. The one thing with this has stopped people playing Magic, which I don't like. It stops people wanting to play spells. Vengeful Pharaoh is a fun one. Helldozer. That is a Magic card. 3 black. Oh, black. Destroy target land. If that land was non-basic, untap Helldozer. That's a proper Magic card. I think this is a good start. Let's go to our budget base and see what else we have now. So the other thing of this is obviously if people are going later in games, doing things like cut down, which can't stop certain things. Like people can respond to this, that kind of stuff. Like if people are like, I'm trying to think of the interactions with this. Like, destroy target creature with total power times 5 or greater. There's going to be combat tricks in this, so I like the idea of people using their combat tricks to save their stuff if they have it. I think that's kind of fun. Cut down? Come on, cut down's a magic card. We know that. Heartless Act as well. Destroy target creature with no counters on it, or remove up to 3 counters on target creature. It's not just going to be a wash. Things are going to have counters in this cube. Either they're going to put them on themselves, or there's going to be abilities to put them on at instant speed. That seems pretty solid. What else do we have? Right, I think this is pretty... this is 8. We said we wanted around 13. We don't have a board wipe yet. I'm going to take inspiration from my regular cube, because I know this card... This card is good, but it is annoying. Nuclear Fallout. X, black. Each creature gets twice -X until end of turn. Each player gets X rad counters. The annoying part of this is that nowhere on this card does it tell you what a rad counter does. But a rad counter is self-mill. One second, let's try and spell this name properly so you can see what a rad counter does. Why do I like nuclear mill? That's not a thing. Alright, yeah, a rad counter is this. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, if you have any rad counters on them, mill that many cards. For each non-land card milled this way, you lose 1 life and a rad counter. So we have mill. I think Nuclear Fallout is going to be a pretty solid option. Let's have a look at other rad counters, actually. If we're going to be adding them, we might as well see what we have. Is there anything that destroys things? I don't think so. And that's probably it for rad counters for the time being. Okay, fair. So I think we want one more board wipe in black. Let's just have a look at destroy all creatures in black. Let's have a look. Ooh, Blight Grenade's fun. It is a destroy target creature, but then it does do some other things as well. Or gives everything -3/-3. So obviously, like, Damnation is just generically good. But I think that might just be... That's not interesting. In Garrick's Wake Slaps. Man. See, I'm just drawn to the fun ones. Mandate of a Band of Abaddon. Destroy target creature you control. Destroy a creature with power less than that creature's power. That's at least interesting. You have the generic, like, 6 mana ones, like Extinguishable Hope or Their Name is Death. I'm not sure what I want here. Seasons of the Witch. That can't be all the black board wipes. That seems a bit anemic. I think because of that, let's go for... Ooh, One Ring to Rule Them All. One Ring to Rule Them All. The ring tempts you, then each player mills cards equal to the ring bearer's power. Destroy all non-legendary creatures. Each opponent loses 1 life for each creature card in that player's graveyard. That actually seems quite... I'm not a massive fan of wait a turn, just wipe the board, because that turn will mean players don't do anything, which is not great, and I'm not overly a fan of that. But the fact that this will do something on the first one and the bottom one, and also if you build your deck around it, it's not going to get wiped as much. I think this is fine. Meat Hook Massacre, yeah, that is a good one. Meat Hook Massacre is great. I think if we were doing... That is one, again, for more aristocrats. It's one that... That's not how it's one Meat Hook in the slightest. Yeah, Meat Hook Massacre is a great one. But again, I do think we want to be more aristocraty if we're going down this route. And Bontu's Last Reckoning as well, a good shout, but it, again, it's... Short creatures, lands you control, like... In multiplayer, I think this just really punish you. Like, it really... Board wipes are already tricky because you do them and then everyone else has the ability to rebuild first. That is one thing with One Ring to Rule Them All, is that the mana goes in the turn before, then there's a cycle and you can rebuild to the board afterwards. Like, you're the first one rebuilding to the board. Whereas with this, you're just not rebuilding to the board, and it takes even... Like you have the downside of a board wipe, and then you also have the added downside of you're not even rebuilding to the board the turn after. And I think it's an underplayed card in Commander where you're getting to like 8 mana, so you're still going to, like, you cast this and then you pass, and then you still have 5 mana the next turn to rebuild. That's still fine, but in this, I think it's just going to be too big of a tempo swing. Right, so we have 10. Let's do 1 or 2 more, and then I think we can move on. Let's go to the Treat Yourself Cube, see what we have in here. So Vats is interesting. 2 black, split second, choose any number of target creatures with equal toughness, destroy the chosen creatures. That's pretty far. Actually, yeah, I think Price of Fame is a good one. The spell, 4 mana, destroy target creature, surveil 2. It costs 2 less to cast if it targets a legendary creature. I think that's pretty... That's kind of the right power level of where we want, and it does overlap with stuff as well. I mean, Soren Harp is technically a removal spell. It's probably, yes, something like Feed the Swarm I don't think is a terrible idea, just having a way of interacting with enchantments, although there is just a better one now. No, let's do Feed the Swarm. I think it does need some kind of drawback. BC in chat did mention something that we do need to look at. So black does also have... So black isn't just removal. It does also have things like hand attack, which we're probably not going to do in this just because hand attack in multiplayer is not as good as it is one-on-one. But a bit of card draw in black, I think, is still pretty solid. So let's have a look at that. So we have the suggestions of Nasty End. So this, I believe, is in the cycle of additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature, draw 2 cards to sacrifice a creature with legendary, draw 3 cards instead. I think, so stuff like this I do quite like. There's a bunch of this stuff now. So obviously in, where are we? So things like the Deadly Dispute X style of effects. Again, so we're not going to run a bunch, like too many of these, because again, this cube isn't caring too much about things dying, but I think in general these are just pretty solid. So I could see us running maybe a couple of these. So I think Deadly Dispute is just best in class. It's also nice that if someone turns a removal spell at one of your creatures, you can then just cash it in. I think we want Deadly Dispute just as it is just the best one. I think it is best in class. It guarantees you to draw 2 cards and make a treasure. Stuff with bargain potentially. Let's have a look at some stuff with bargain. You may sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token to cast a spell. Maybe. I think this card's pretty solid. You draw 2 cards. I don't hate Rowan's Grim Search. If the spell was bargain, look at the top 4 cards of your library, then put up to 2 of them back on top of your library in a random order. This seems pretty solid. Rowan's Grim Search. I think maybe we get one more bit of black card draw. We might just be going a bit generic. Is it just Night's Whisper? Are we just going straight up Night's Whisper? I think we can for the time being. This is just a pretty solid magic card that decks want. Good in control decks and good in decks that are kind of building to stuff. So I think that's going to be our black staples sorted. Let's move on to red stuff. So we'll probably get red done today, and then we'll just do the green ramp in the first part of our next episode. I think that makes sense. So in red, shockingly, the staples are things like burn and impulse draw spells. So let's just do the impulse draw spells first, because that's going to be pretty straightforward. So we know, so a card like Faithless Looting is going to be pretty good. So we do have a bit of a conflict, is maybe one way of saying it. So Madness wants discard, but Faldorn stuff is like impulse draw. So we do need to kind of find a balance here between stuff that discards and stuff that puts stuff into exile. That could be a little bit tricky, but I think we can do it. So let's do exile cards in red. Is it cast or play? Let's do cast. Actually, exile cards, cast, or exile cards, turn. That's generally how these are worded. Right, search by EDH rank, I guess. Let's have a look. So, we don't have Commander, so we're not doing Jeska's Will. So, Laelia is kind of... It's over here. Let's actually move this over a little bit so you can all see. So, Laelia is kind of signposty for the archetype. But we generally want these to be on instant sorceries, I think, for the time being. We will be adding Laelia, and we will be adding Inti into here. Inti will be into here, don't worry, everyone. Conspiracy Theorist will also get into here when we get to that section. Actually, this might just go in now, because it... I think Conspiracy Theorist actually does what we want in this. What have I done to the table view? We just want to edit. So let's read Conspiracy Theorist. 1 and a red, 2/2. When it attacks, you may pay 1 generic and discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Whenever you discard 1/1 online cards, you may exile one of them from your graveyard. If you do, you may cast it this turn. So this will do stuff in both of the decks. It overlaps nicely. We should probably look for discard and exile in the same sentence, because this, effectively what this does is this moves the card. So when we discard a card, it will then move it into exile. So it will trigger. So effectively, this kind of gives stuff madness, which is kind of what we ask, what we're after. So madness, importantly as well, will trigger the casting from exile, because when you madness something, you are casting it from exile, I believe. So madness, if you discard this card, discard it into exile. So madness is kind of where things kind of overlap. So we can lean, I guess, more onto the exile side of things. Oh, sorry, on the discard side of things. If then gonna ooh, right. Ecstatic Beauty. Potentially, this could work. 2 and a red. Exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play those cards until end of turn. Put 4 time counters on each of those cards. That has suspend, and it has suspend for red. I don't hate this. So this is going to be good in the Impulse draw deck, and it will also be casting spells from exile as well. That's pretty fine. Oh, hold on. Magmatic Channeler. This one I think is going to be pretty solid. This kind of, again, covers both. Ooh. Alright, so this is 1 red, creature, human, wizard, 1/3. As long as there are 4 more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, it gets +3/+1. So it's a looter that can become aggressive. It has discard a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may choose one of them. You may play that card this turn. So again, this covers both of our bases. It does stuff with exile and it does stuff with discard. I think let's actually get that into the search engine. Discard. Morning, James. Hope you're doing well. Have you looked at Ivara is Unsatiable Air? I don't know what that card does. Oh, this one. Yeah. I picked this one up for my regular cube. This one seems pretty good. When it enters and when it deals combat damage to a player, create a blood token. Blood tokens are artifacts with 1, tap, discard a card, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. Whenever you discard a card, put a +1 counter on Ivara. So this is pretty good. This is both a reward and a payoff for this type of thing. Yeah, you know what? Let's just get Ivara and the red creatures that we were talking about in here. We know we want them in here, and they do kind of overlap. So let's get Inti in here. Essential of the Sun. Let's get Laelia in here. They're not massively staples, but we know they're going in. Let's just stop dancing around the topic. Right. Ooh, Fable. You may discard up to 2 cards. If you do, draw that many cards. So that fixes that part. The exile part is just because of that text, but I do think Fable is kind of broken. Yeah, we're probably adding Fable of the Mirror Breaker. It fills in the gaps. Ooh, hold on. We have a new card. Tersa Light Shatter. Did we review this card yet? I don't know. 2 and a red. Haste. When it enters, discard up to 2 cards, then draw that many cards. When Tersa Light Shatter attacks, if there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, exile a card at random from your graveyard. You may play that card this turn. Okay, so again, this does the discard stuff, but it also works with the deck because we are also doing stuff from exile as well. Okay, good. Light Shatter. It's not in Cube Cobra yet. Because it must have only just been spoiled. Couldn't find it. Okay, we'll come back to this later. Party Thrasher, James? Let's have a look. One red, one for creature Lizard Wizard. Very good. I'm seeing them in the summer. Non-creature spells you cast from exile have Convoke. And at the beginning of your first main phase, you may discard a card. If you do exile top 2 cards of your library, then choose one of them. You may play that card this turn. That does seem perfect, yeah. It does both things. We like this. Very good. Get in our deck. I think that might be... Yeah, I think that might be pretty solid for now. I do think we might need to... We only have like one Faithless Looting style of effect. Because none of these are instant or sorceries, which is kind of annoying. I mean, we have a battle... No, I don't think we want Invasion of Kaldheim. I think this is pretty good. I think I'm okay with this. I think I want just maybe one more draw discard. Draw discard in red. If there's one on an instant, that would be delightful. Just because instant speed means we can get to... do mana stuff at instant speed. So Cathartic Pyre I like because it's a burn spell and a draw spell. We don't actually we haven't got to our red burn yet, so we'll get onto that in a little moment. Yeah, basically, yeah, that's the kind of slot where stuff like Bonecrusher Giant would come in. So we might get to that in a moment. But Cathartic Pyre does two things in the deck. I think we like it. Ooh, Retrace is slaps. Big Score, maybe. As initial cost to cast a spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards, create 2 treasure tokens. I've just been more and more impressed with this card. It just does quite a lot of stuff. Yeah, I think we can add Big Score. I think I like Big Score. Right, so that's a very good amount of... It is partly, like, we have partly filled out some of the archetype with some of these cards, but that is a good amount of discard filtering. It's a part of the engine, basically. What else do I have in my ring? Ooh, so Highway Robbery, I think, is actually a pretty good one. This will probably get in. You may discard a card or sacrifice a land if you do draw 2 cards, but it has plot. So, yes, James, great minds think alike. Yeah, but the plot lets you cast it from, like, when you plot something, you cast it from exile the next turn. So Highway Robbery seems pretty perfect. Oh, adventure creatures are often cast from exile. Yeah, that's not a bad shout. Tormenting Voice, I'm not sure on. Just actually, we didn't actually add Devourer. Let's add Devourer. I have picked one of these up. It's going to be going in my regular cube very shortly. The one thing with Tormenting Voice is Tormenting Voice. Yeah, potentially this kind of stuff. I don't hate it, but I think we're at a decent number now. I'm just trying to work out how many that we actually want in terms of just red card draw. So there is a world where I also just want Wheel of Fortune in here because Wheel of Fortune slaps. And like, actually, I don't hate Bitter Reunion. I think I'm going to do Bitter Reunion over Tormenting Voice just because of that ability to give stuff haste. Especially if you're in like a blitz deck, just being able to build your board, play your Kiln Fiend, and kill them out of nowhere. That's kind of fun. Alright, let's do our removal, and then we'll probably have to call it there, because the day job starts shortly. Just trying to count how many bits of removal we have in red. So Pyrogoyf 1, Twin Shop Sniper 2, Fury 3... 4, 5, 6, 7, quite a lot. Yeah, I think we can have Bonecrusher Giant. We are casting it from exile when it goes to adventure, so that does kind of synergize with some of the Foulhorn stuff. I'm trying to think if we actually have. We'll have a look at Embrace the Unknown. I'm trying to work out if we actually have enough time for this because it is coming up to 9. I do need to start work, so this might be the last one that we look at. Exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until end of turn, you may play those spells. Cards. Oh, it has Retrace. Ooh, I like that. Retrace slaps. You may cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a land card in addition to paying its other cost. That's pretty fun, actually. I think let's add that in. We might need to look at the numbers of this next time. I think maybe Big Score. Actually, let's cut Big Score. It's a bit generic-y. I think, actually, apologies, everyone. That's where we're going to have to end it for today. it is 9 o'clock. Time to start the day job. Thank you all for being here. Yeah, we'll pick this up. So there will be a few more spoilers coming up over the next couple of days, just because we want to get those out of the way. But yeah, when we pick up next, we will... There's 2 of these. We will finish off red. We'll finish off the red staples. We'll start the green staples, and then we'll get into more archetype-specific cards. We'll start really filling in the gaps for what the cube is kind of made of. In theory, it shouldn't be too long until we get to that. I'm hoping it'll be before next Monday, but yeah, keep an eye out for things. We'll let you all know as soon as possible. But anyway, that's going to do it for today. Again, thank you all very much for being here. Do greatly appreciate it. Love the interaction with these type of ones. These are the ones that kind of get the most comments in the chat, and that is really nice to see, and I do appreciate you all being here. But until tomorrow, much love, and we'll see you all soon. Goodbye.